Buonasera, welcome back to our Italian sessions. Today we're going to see just a few ideas on how you can learn or improve your or widen your vocabulary, improve your Italian in general. And so not the apart from following lessons or watching videos, doing exercises, with grammar exercises, what else can you do? So I have a few ideas. Let me just share this a little list, a very, very small list, really, of ideas that you could use for improving your Italian. Right, so consigli per imparare la lingua. So obviously this applies not just to Italian, but any language. So something that you can do, obviously you do need a certain amount of knowledge. Obviously, you can do start even when you're a complete beginner or any stage really. So to start with your learning or to improve your knowledge or just to even to improve, especially the listening or some of this. So one of the things that you can do is read a parallel text. What is a parallel text? There are those books, normally short stories, which have one side in English, one side in Italian. I say English, but obviously it can be any other language. I'm using English. Obviously, I'm speaking in English. I'm explaining in English. However, if your mother tongue is not English and you are still studying Italian and following these videos, you can find parallel text with Italian on one side and then French or Spanish or German, any other language. So you can, when you have these parallel text, you can, or I would read the Italian side, and then only when you find either words that you really don't understand or sentences that you find a little bit more difficult, then you can refer to the page which is just next. So really one page, when you open the book, one page will be in Italian, the other one will be in English or whichever other language you're going to choose. And so you can refer to the page and see immediately the meaning of the word or sentence that you couldn't understand or you didn't know. Which this obviously saves you a lot of time instead of going either in the paper dictionary or online dictionary, because and also you have to find the correct context when you're looking for the meaning. So obviously, in this case, you will have the correct translation. And this will help you also to see the differences. And very often, in fact, it is almost surprising that you think, I would have never thought of saying this, of saying it in this way. So you choosing these words in Italian or this word order, for example. Um, so it is a very, very good way to see the language, not just in the textbooks, the ones that we use to study the language, which are based on grammar and very, very perfect sentences. Very often, you also have a language which is a little bit more colloquial, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Another way to learn is songs. Um, Obviously, choose songs that you like or a singer that you like, a band that you like. Normally, the ones that I mention or I recommend, but you don't have to follow my recommendation. You can choose your own. If you like a song, just look at find the lyrics and learn them Keep in mind, though, that often, like in every language, songs don't necessarily follow the grammar rules even, or sometimes they don't necessarily make sense. The songs can be a little bit abstract. However, it is still a way to learn new words and pronunciation, and also some songs will tell a story. So it will follow a bit more of yeah, a story which will make a little bit more sense. So songs is one very good way to learn a language. In fact, I remember many, many years ago when I started studying Italian, English. I used to listen to English songs and then look at find the lyrics and then obviously listen to the songs following the lyrics as well to see how they would pronounce those words, specific words. Keep in mind also that even when we are listening to a song in our mother tongue, there are some words that we don't understand. Even we listen many times and I still can't hear what they are saying, can't understand what they're saying. So this will happen obviously in every language. So you have to keep that in mind. Something else, obviously, is watching films, any kind of films. There are subtitles, so you can watch an Italian movie with subtitles. Depending on your level, you can have subtitles in English or your mother tongue. Or if you have reached a certain level in Italian, you can watch the Italian movie with Italian subtitles. And so you can listen and also see what they're going to say. Two things here. One, obviously, I do enjoy watching films like foreign movies or in every language and with subtitles, and they are a distraction. Even in fact, if I were to watch an Italian movie with subtitle in Italian or any language, I'll look at the subtitles, even if I understand, obviously, I understand everything they're saying, but just your eyes just go there. So that could be a distraction. So you can, again, you can either watch the whole movie, or if you want, you can decide to watch 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, concentrating on what they're saying and finding the sentences in the subtitles. Something about subtitles, though, very often or normally subtitles depend or are based on the time that takes for the actor to say something and the space that there is on a screen. So you will not necessarily read the subtitles. They will not necessarily be exactly what the person says. So you have to keep that in mind. Sometimes it's a little, it's a resume. If the actor is talking, for example, very, very fast and for a long time, the subtitles will not necessarily have exactly all the words that this actor has said. And in fact, sometimes when you're watching a film and there is a bit of a conversation, and instead the subtitles say no, just because, just to make it short. So that is something to keep in mind. You can you can watch, for example, films as well that you have seen before. There's a little bit, I don't know if you want to do that. There are some so films in English language, which are famous internationally, and they can also be watched in other countries, in Italy, which are normally dubbed. Sometimes, if especially the older ones are dubbed quite well, the more recent ones less so really. So if you can watch a film which has been dubbed, you can choose a film that you know, which is originally in the English language, and then watch it in Italian with obviously with actors that like famous actors which suddenly speak Italian and they have a different voice. So I don't know if you can and want to do that. Is just an idea. Another thing is watching cartoons. Cartoons, especially the ones for the younger, for toddlers, of young children, are exactly for children to learn words, so they tend to repeat the same things. An example of these cartoons is Peppa Pig, which is called Peppa Pig in Italian as well. Although somebody mentioned some, oh, was it Lucy and something else? I can't remember. I'm not really, I don't know many cartoons. Peppa Pig, I've had the experience of hearing some of Peppa Pig's cartoons because children were watching them. And I have to say they're quite annoying, or maybe not everybody finds them annoying, but very useful, very, very useful, because what they do, they really repeat. I'm using Peppa Pig as an example, but you can choose other cartoons if you like them again. They're very short, first of all. They do speak quite quick because the audience is they're targeting children, so children get bored easily. They need to be kept alert. And then, as I said, they keep repeating the same words, the same sentences. An example of Peppa Pig, for example, they will say, shall we go outside in the garden? And some other pig will say, yes, let's go out in the garden. And another one will say, yes, I do like going, spending time in the garden. And then they go in the garden and say, oh, what a lovely garden. And they repeat again. So that is an idea. Um, Another idea, this is when you have reached maybe an intermediate level at least, is choosing or reading books which target a young audience. So young teenagers, like even 11, 12, they're not really teenagers technically, but 11, 12, 13. So that is the age, maybe even 14, the age when kids or young teenagers are broadening their knowledge of their own language. So we have maybe possibly a very nice story, and you do find different levels really. Some a little bit the simpler, some longer, a bit more complex. As I said, they can have a very, very rich vocabulary or a little bit simpler. Simpler doesn't necessarily mean easy. In fact, an example of a few books that I have used with my students are from, I'm not doing any page advertising, it's just I'm just saying it because I found them quite useful, and my students have found them very useful as well. Books by Antonio Ferrara, which are really, really good. They aimed for the kids about 10, 11, 12, even 13. And very nice stories, very short chapters. And they're written also with bigger letters. And also the very good thing is that they use colloquial language, very colloquial, correct. Sometimes there are maybe some regionalism, but it's not a big problem. Um, but yes, very, very useful to learn how the language is really spoken every day. So these are some ideas. Then I wrote something here, which is mainly a little reminder for myself. Something that many say, I don't agree with it, but I don't agree with many things. Many say, oh, when you dream in this case, when you dream in Italian, it means you've learned the language, you're fluent. Not really. Oh, as I said, I do not. I agree. I mean, I think in the dreams, what can we do in dreams? In dreams, we can fly, we can ride a motorbike or an elephant. We can do everything. Anything can happen in a dream. Um, in fact, I remember many years ago, I dreamt I was speaking Arabic, and I can't really speak Arabic. So I won't really base this. I don't think this is based on any truth. That if you dream in a language, it means you are fluent suddenly. Instead, what I would say is, first of all, when you start thinking in the language, which does happen normally if you do live in the country, or if you are exposed a lot to the language, which could be like listening to the radio, TV, the songs, audio books as well, films. So people around you, they speak the language. So that is when you can start thinking, oh, actually, I am actually immersing myself in the language. My brain is starting to think in that language. But two things that I say, when when you can do these two things, it means you have reached a good level of of knowledge, and they're not necessary. It just I would say I said two things that if you can do them, it means you've definitely turned a corner. One, if you can understand and make jokes, especially if you're watching a comedian. Keep in mind that often, obviously, a comedian, not all, but some will use cultural references, which are very difficult if they mention certain names, people, or certain events that you don't know about, then it won't be necessarily very funny. However, if it's in general comedians with a lot of jokes, if you do understand that sense of humor about what they are talking about, that is definitely a sign that you are comfortable with the language. And second, when you can make a joke yourself, uh, and especially because making a joke, you need to be really. First of all, a joke is like it happens, you don't plan to make a joke. If somebody says something and then you reply with a joke, or there is a situation and you say something that makes people laugh. And you have to choose the correct words. You have to deliver it correctly. Otherwise, it's not going to be funny. And then another one is if you can argue in the language, because again, you need to speak quite fast if you are having an argument or a disagreement. And then you have to find again the correct word. You can use textbook sentences in an argument because they're not strong enough. There is not enough passion. They don't even express exactly what you want to say. And also, if both for comedy and an argument, you do use specific words that you won't use necessarily again in a conversation about, I don't know, personal, like where do you go on a holiday? And do you like pizza? Do you prefer this type of pizza or things like that? You do need specific words and word order, and again the delivery needs to be right. In fact, I have to say that because I've been missing the last 30 years, I've been living in the UK only recently. For specific reasons, I spent a little bit more time in Italy, and I'm not used to use Italian every day for these things, for making jokes and argument. So I haven't won any arguments since I've been here. So I think I need to practice a little bit more with arguing, and maybe if I win an argument at some points, then it means I'm back using Italian, for these things. Yeah, because normally I am used to think in English and do everything in English, listen to English comedy and make jokes in English. Even making a jokes, I have found it a little bit difficult because I want to say it in English. English is very good for this, very direct language, short words, short sentences, and you just hit the moment is perfect. Italian with longer words, longer sentences, it's you need to think a little bit more, and yeah, you have to find the words that, as I said, I found quite interesting. Really, I found myself not being able to make a joke when I wanted to, or you know, express myself. When I was a little bit well, in a disagreement. I find it, as I said, I'm not used to it anymore. So it really is, it shows you that you need to practice something, not necessarily arguing. However, you never know, you really never know when you need to say, to have a disagreement. As I said, doesn't need to be an argument. And so also, this is the thing, it's something that you need to keep in mind when you're studying a language. Don't stop at those textbook sentences, at what you see, the perfect sentences. Look at everything and see how the colloquial language, like in every language, really, it's not just Italian, how the colloquial language, the everyday language is used, which words people choose instead of something that you're used to see on a book instead. An example, um, because I studied English in Italy. I studied English in Italy. And so what they taught us many years ago, and it was also Italian teachers with not a fantastic English pronunciation either. They taught us that when you meet somebody and you introduce yourself, you have to say, "How do you do?" And then, go to England. In fact, the first time that somebody did say, "How do you do?" was 30 years after. It was really a couple of years ago. It happened for the very, very first time. Finally, I did tell the person, finally, it took me 28 years, 29, to finally hear somebody saying, "How do you do?" It wasn't all in vain. So yes, keep in mind that sometimes we study something, but it's not necessarily used widely in the language. Um, Also, something to keep in mind is that different teachers will come from different regions. So they will have specific expressions that are not necessarily used everywhere in Italy. It doesn't mean they are incorrect. They are still correct, but only when you travel from one region to another, you realize there may be the things they normally said, expressions or certain words are not used in another region, and then you learn new ones. So I think that is everything for today, and I hope this was useful, and perhaps you can use some of those ideas if you're not doing it already. If you are, let me know which books have you read, which films have you found useful, songs, which singers have you are you listening to, or have you found useful for the language and to learn new words. So I'll leave you here and I will see you on our next video. Bye bye. Ciao.